Barry, we got your thoughts before the fight. Errol Spence, Tim Tszyu, mate. You've had a chance to watch the fight yesterday. What did you make of it, and what did you make of Tim's win?
Yeah, look, seriously, you've got to give No Limit so much credit for building this to be a massive international event, huge pay-per-view and huge international viewing. Look, Errol Spence, I'm pretty sure I was correct. He wasn't the fighter he used to be, which was to be expected after, years out of the ring and an accident and a couple of losses. But Tim Tszyu, I think, is the best I've seen him for quite a while. I think Jeff's got him in great shape after 12 rounds. He's still in, brilliant. Could have done a lot more. And he won it clearly. I mean, the first couple of rounds, Spence had a bit of a crack. But once he felt, Tszyu was good defensively. He was good on the inside. He landed some good right hands. So look, overall, probably not Timmy Tszyu's greatest performance, but probably his greatest victory against a legend who, as I said, I'm glad to see. I'm pretty sure he said he's retired after the fight, and he's had a great career. Errol Spence, he fought, hung in there for 12 rounds, and Timmy got the victory. So you got to give No Limit credit for putting on such a, it was a really good show. It was so much of a pity that the main support was cancelled because of the weight issue. That was just seriously unprofessional. On the behalf, what was his name? Stephen Fulton, wasn't it?
Yeah, Stephen Fulton. We'll get to that one in a sec, Barry. Was it good to see Tim Tszyu go back to that his natural sort of style compared to what he'd done in the previous two fights?
Yeah, look, I just thought, I spoke to Jeff before the fight, wished him luck because I've always been a big Tim Tszyu fan. And, I reckon going to Jeff was in boxing, when you're getting there to fight someone, the mental side of it is so much. People don't understand the psychological aspect and the mental side of it. And Jeff is brilliant at that. Jeff, got into his head and got him working extremely hard, and he was in beautiful physical condition. After 12, as I said, he wouldn't have blown a candle out. And I was dubious whether Jeff would have improved him technically, but I think he looked a tighter defensive fighter to me. And, so, I mean, overall, it worked out fantastic for Australian boxing, to be honest.
There are some people out there, Baz, that will say that Spence was past his best and a shell of himself. How do you sort of respond to those comments?
Well, I went on air with you prior to the fight saying that I did believe that, both fighters might have been potentially, especially Errol Spence. Every time I watched Errol Spence training, I thought to myself, he's not fast. I reckon I'm faster now at 71. He didn't look fast. He looked slow, but he looked in amazing physical condition, which he undoubtedly was, to last 12 rounds with Timmy, and he still got power. The last thing that goes is your punching power. So Errol had that punching power still, and he caught Timmy a couple of good ones in the first couple, but Timmy nearly dropped him in the first, and as the fight progressed, Tim worked him out. He was really good with the right drive to the body against the southpaw and the right to the head, and he wasn't getting hit much at all. So, look, overall, you've got to be glad, Australia's got to be glad that Tim Tszyu has got through this fight against such a legend of a name. It's undoubtedly true that he wasn't the fighter he was. But regardless of that, he's retired now. Tim moves on, and Tim will probably get a shot. They're talking over as Landy Lara. Now, I think that's probably a smart move. I mean, Lara is 42, not extremely active, and we know he fought Zarafa a few years ago. But that's probably a good for I think it's the WBA middleweight title. I mean, Tim looks strong at middleweight, that's for sure.
Yeah, how did you think he looked at middleweight, Baz?
Beg your pardon?
How did you think he looked at middleweight?
Yeah, no, I think it suited him, and he said afterwards he felt terrific, and there's nothing worse than when you're really draining yourself to make weight. And no, I thought he looked strong. As I said, he fought 12 rounds, and give Errol Spence credit, even though he wasn't the fighter he was, he still battled it out the whole way through, which is a credit to him, to be honest. And he walks away with a nice pay packet into retirement and will go down as one of the best welterweights in history, I guess.
Yeah, one thing that impressed me with Tim Tszyu was not just the physical element of it. It was the pressure that he was under to perform. And, his career was on the line in many respects.
Undoubtedly, his career was on the line for sure. And that's what I'm saying. Mentally, I think Jeff got him in a really good place where he believed in himself again a lot more. And I think that was pretty evident. And it worked in Tim and Jeff's favour. And, we've got away with a victory against a fighter that is going to go down as one of the greatest welterweights of all time.
What's does Tim need some more fights at middleweight before going into a title shot if he can get it? I mean, does he need a couple more fights?
To be honest with you, Jai, when you're at that level, if you get an opportunity, like say for example, they get an offer tomorrow to fight Errol Spence for the world middleweight title, you've got to take it. You just, these opportunities don't come along all the time. Although saying that, No Limit are in a position now with the amount of pay-per-views and live ticket sales they can generate. They can afford to probably pick and choose a bit and pay really good money. But look, I think if he gets the opportunity, he's got to grab it with both hands. I mean, he's 31 now. Look, I still, some of Tim Tszyu's earlier fights, I think he was better than what he showed yesterday, but he was quite good yesterday. Not brilliant, but quite good, and did what he had to do to beat a legend.
Now, just a word on that Stephen Fulton situation, mate. What did you make of that?
That's one of the most ridiculous, unprofessional things I've ever seen. They already lifted the weight 3 pounds for him when he got here, said he couldn't make the weight, and then he comes in 9 pounds over the weight. You know what I would have done to him? I would have cancelled his bloody return ticket and told him to F off. Because, I mean, how unprofessional is that? That's, there's nothing worse, and it's happened to me with some fighters I've promoted. I won't go into detail, but you give a fighter an opportunity, and he comes in way over the weight and then has to, in Fulton's case, he was just too much over the weight to even consider taking it off. The fight had to be cancelled. So very, very unprofessional. That should, I don't know, there's no, what's the word? There's nothing they can do about it, I guess, except cancel his return airfare ticket and tell him to piss off. It's just seriously unprofessional.
Mate, Nikita Tszyu, he's set to fight Benny Marnie next month. Any thoughts on that one, Barry?
Wow, that's going to be a cracker. I'm a huge Nikita fan. He's a beast. He's a southpaw, as we know. He's a bit susceptible to being hit with the right hand. Every time I've seen him hurt, he just comes back stronger than ever. He can be hurt. He's a little bit hittable at times, but once he gets in the groove, he's a beast. And Ben Marnie's a real class fighter. That's going to be a real good fight. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. I'd probably undoubtedly fancy Nikita because I just think he's really got he's an animal. He loves to get in there and hurt people, and he is a little bit susceptible early, especially. He's needs to be nice and warm when he gets in there and not get caught early. And if he gets past those first few rounds, very hard fighter to beat indeed.
Well said, Baz. Always appreciate your time, mate. And one final word on Tim Tszyu. Can he get back to that Tim Tszyu that he was pre-Fondora 1? Yeah,
well, look, we need to say, I'm not going to say 100% yes or no because it all depends on, Timmy's pulled up well, no doubt, but he's going to believe in himself quite a bit more. And I think continuing with Jeff's going to help his mental state. The mental state is so important when you're getting in the ring to battle with someone. So whether he can get back there is yet to be seen. But he certainly improved on those last couple of fights that he had prior to this one. And let's hope he just continues to improve and gets an opportunity and takes it with both hands and can win one of the versions of the world middleweight title. It'll be great to see.
Well said, mate. Always appreciate your time, and we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Jai. All the best, mate.